Hey everyone, I'm Rum, and welcome to a fevered ramble. I wanted to talk about the Sundered Doctrine weapons and how I believe that none of them are going to be power crept, at least for the foreseeable future. If you haven't already done the Sundered Doctrine dungeon, I recommend watching a guide really quick and completing whatever parts you can. Right now, the second encounter is kind of bugged, so you can't really do crit damage to it. However, I think that contest mode's coming back. They're going to fix that bug and it be a very easy run. So if you want to wait for that to happen, I think it'd be a great time to hop in and get some of these awesome weapons. Before we go on, I want to go in order from which encounter you receive each weapon. So the first two are going to be Unsworn and then Unloved. Then we're going to get into Unworthy and then Unvoiced last. Before we even get into the weapons, let's talk about their origin trait because it is truly what makes each of these weapons, at least in my opinion, like they're the top dog. These will never be power crept. In all honesty, I feel like years down the line that these weapons, at least one of them will be always viable. So that origin trait is subjugation. Reason why this is so good is because the weapon does different things depending on the kind of target that you're dealing damage to. To weak targets, aka your minor yellow health bars and red health bars, those adds are going to just take explosive damage. So essentially all of your weapons will have explosive payload on top of the damage that they're already doing. And if anyone is close enough to them, that explosion will damage them. To strong targets, these are like your champs, your mini bosses, and your bosses. They will become exhausted. So you're already applying a debuff with all four of these weapons to those types of enemies, and therefore getting a free debuff off. Like, it's so easy to just proc exhaust. Since it's such a new debuff, a lot of people aren't really talking about it, but it is super helpful for those bosses that you just cannot live their damage phase. It helps out with survivability. So there's a lot less pressure on well users, and there is a lot more availability in all of these types of encounters. Off the top of my head, the final boss for Vesper's Host is a big one. Granted, I don't think exhaust is going to solve a major part in that boss encounter due to all the moving parts, like you have to be dodging and stuff. You know, we're going to see where this goes, right? Subjugation is definitely a top tier origin trait. For all of the new origin traits that we've seen so far, I think this is the best one. Moving on, let's go into the actual weapons. Starting with Unsworn, we have Tear and Hatchling, which is for those double dippers into the Strand archetype. And I don't think this is a terrible combination. Tear, if you don't know how it works, every precision kill, you'll cause nearby targets to become severed, which will lower their damage. Now, this doesn't have a big explosion like most people would think. Just like destabilizing rounds, it has that initial explosion, and then everyone around them is volatile. So the way that Tear works is it just procs a debuff. Nothing changes. They don't really stop moving, no flinch. They just have their damage reduced heavily. Even then, Tear is a great perk for any weapon that it's on, but currently I think it's only on, besides all their dungeon weapons, it is on Adamantite, and you're not going to be getting a lot of precision kills with that weapon. Fortunately, you know, you have it on here, this Trace Rifle. A little bit easier to get precision kills with it. It's there with Hatchling on the other column for you to double dip into that strand, but I think most people are going to be looking at Tear and Detonator Beam, a new perk for Trace Rifles, where dealing sustained damage creates an explosion around the target. Now, is this going to be a Trace Rifle only perk? I don't know, but I think because it's on this weapon, it is, to be honest, quite insane. So if you have Tear and you have Detonator Beam, after getting a precision kill, you weaken you sever everyone. Detonator Beam will cause an explosion. So even though you're not really exploding them through Tear, you're still going to have that giant damage, and they're already debuffed, so they're going to take even more damage from Detonator Beam. It's just an awesome like perk combination, especially for ad clear, but it's also a good DPS option, especially if, well, Tear is more for ad clearing. So for boss DPS, you might want to run Rewind rounds, which is here also in that third column with Detonator Beam. And this is a good secondary option for those well-lock players with Cenotaph, or you know, just any warlock who runs with Cenotaph, because especially now with these dungeon runs and these contest runs, you're always strapped for ammunition, and Cenotaph is just a great way to boost that ammo economy within your entire team. So I don't think if you don't have a good Strand or Stasis Trace Rifle, this is a great option. This weapon just in general For more ad clear wise, if you don't feel like running Tear, you don't feel like running Hatchling, you have Substance and you also have Killing Tally for that unique combination. Or maybe you want to stick with more boss DPS, but you don't really like Detonator Beam. You have Rewind Round still, and you can run it with Bait and Switch. And if you even want to go further into that ad clear, like we were just talking about, you have Thresh and you have Hatchling, which all of these perk combinations are pretty good. I don't think any of them are bad per se, but I honestly think like the best role here in terms of usability is Tear and Detonator Beam. Moving on from that though, we have Unloved, the new Strand Heavy Burst Hand Cannon. Again, coming with that Subjugation Origin trait, all of these have it. Again, it's also still got the Hatchling Tear Double Strand perk combination. Unlike Unsworn though, it has Dragonfly in that third column, so you could create a precision kill, cause that giant explosion thanks to Dragonfly, and everyone around is already debuffed by Tear. I think that's already a great combination. Admittedly, I don't have a good role on Unloved. I have Dragonfly kill clip, and I have Hatchling kill clip. The weapon is still great even with these bad rolls. I would like to get Tear on it the most out of all of these fourth column perks, but if you don't feel like running Tear, again, just like Unsworn, then you have Elemental Honing here, and you also have Paracausal Affinity, which is previously only on the Root of Nightmares weapons. And the way that this works, if you don't know, is if you get an ability kill or another weapon kill that matches their alignment, their elemental alignment, so like light classes would be Arc, Solar Void, dark would be Stasis and Strand, then this weapon would get a bonus to its damage for a short period of time. I think it's about like 5 seconds, and then enhanced, I think it is 7. Oh yeah, it's right here. It's 6 seconds, and enhanced it's 7. So it's a good damage buff, especially if it's on a special weapon, which I don't remember if it is on any of these, but if it is, Paracausal Affinity is a great option. I don't see anyone else really rocking this in PvP, but if you are rocking it in PvP, a couple things to note is that it has a crazy slow reload speed. I think that's kind of what holds this weapon back. So if any of these weapons ever fall out of meta, I think it would be this one first. Except the fact that like it is already great as it is, that maybe you can overlook its slow reload speed, especially since there's a lot of ways to circumvent reloading. You also have some reload perks here. You have Outlaw for those precision kills, and Kill Clip for PvP. Decent roll, but you're not really strapped for good kinetic slot hand cannons. Maybe Heavy Burst you are. You only have really Warden's Law and that Trials one I can't remember the name of. Besides that though, you have some other couple of PvP oldies. Heating Up, Frenzy. Then you also have Closing Time. No Lone Wolf, but Closing Time, Heating Up, or Closing Time, Rapid Hit, Outlaw, whatever it be. You know, it's a pretty good overall weapon. I just don't see it having much usage in PvP. Moving on to the next weapon, we have Unworthy, which it does have Paracausal Affinity, but I don't think it's going to be as good as Unloved with that perk. Unworthy is a rapid fire frame scout rifle, which are notoriously mid, in all honesty. There's been a couple of good ones, some standout ones. You had Mida as an exotic, and then you have Randy's throwing knife for the kinetic slot. But over round, I think this weapon, despite its poor frame, is awesome. Like, it has a lot of good options here, mainly for PvE, but there's some good PvP options, and I'll go over the PvP options first. Frenzy, Heating Up again, you have that here. You have Rapid Hit and Precision Instrument. Zen Moment, Rapid Hit, Heating Up. Firefly, of all things, is on this weapon. And Keep Away. Since it is a scout rifle, you're going to be playing very far away from enemies anyways, so it's a good perk to have. Now, going into PvE wise, there is a lot more options for you. You have Rewind, Rolling Storm, Firefly with Rolling Storm to proc more kills thanks to Rolling Storm, therefore getting more bolt charge for whatever kind of content you're doing. And to my surprise, it has Bolt Shot, not Jolting Feedback, which admittedly I think is a great addition, since it is, even though it's a rapid fire frame, it is still a slower firing weapon. So I think getting one kill and reloading would be a faster way to proc Jolt. So I'm glad we're not forgetting about Volt Shot, even though Jolting Feedback is, well, for the weapons that it is currently on, just a little bit better. Besides that though, like, you also have a couple of other ways. I don't recommend running this roll that I'm gonna say, but Rewind Rounds, Volt Shot, you have rerun rounds in Rolling Storm, Precision Instrument rerun rounds. But yeah, you have a lot of options here, especially for good like ad clearing potential or just buff upkeep. You know, that's another reason why to run this gun if you really want to keep your bolt charge stacks up, which is very likely in all honesty. We're going on to the next weapon that we have here, and the last. I will not be talking about the exotic just yet. I want to get that from my contest run first. Unvoiced. This is pretty surprising to me. It is a pinpoint slug frame void shotgun. Again, just like Unloved, we're not really strapped for pinpoint shotguns, let alone a void one. There's a lot of void shotguns out there. There's the Nessa's Obligation. That's also a pinpoint. A Sudden Death. You have Basso Ostinato, the one from Lightfall. If you really want to go old school, you have Python. Retold Tale. Retrofuturist is pretty common. And we just got one last episode. I don't know how I forgot about it. Scavenger's Fate. Even though this is a very congested archetype, I do think that Unvoiced is well above the crowd here. And it's thanks to one combination specifically. Destabilizing rounds and Demoralize. If you don't know what Demoralize is, it's another new Void perk. It's here in the 4th column. Precision Final Blows cause nearby targets to become weakened. Just like Sever, this will just, no explosion. It'll just cause that weakening. That way they take more damage. Just like Unloved though over here, or not Unloved, here we go. Unsworn here. It does come with a secondary explosive proccing perk, that being destabilizing rounds. So the idea here is for an ad clearing situation, or even just like surrounding a champ or a boss. You want to just get that precision final blow, cause a weaken, and then cause a volatile explosion. That's just a great combination here. It's a really centered around PvE kind of shotgun. Not to say that there's not a couple of PvP weapon choices here, but you know, it's definitely more of a PvE ad clear / somewhat boss DPS-y weapon. What I mean by the boss DPS kind of perk rolls, you have 4th times a charm here. Unfortunately, no precision instrument, no rapid hit, no nothing like that, but you do have bait and switch as well in that 4th column for a 4th times a charm, bait and switch roll if you're really feeling like it. But there's also, of course, the classic Envious Arsenal plus bait and switch roll. That's a fan favorite. I don't really like Envious Arsenal on special weapons, admittedly. I think it kind of slows down my DPS, especially since I'm already rocking Envious Arsenal bait and switch heavies. So I'm already going to be missing out on at least one Envy bait and switch buff, right? It's either going to be my special or it's going to be my heavy. Some silent hitters here though. Redirection just got a massive buff. I had that screenshot up for you guys. So if you really want to rock this gun with Redirection and probably Frenzy, since you're going to be killing a bunch of ads and increasing that damage uptime, then this is a pretty good combination. I think a lot of people are going to be sleeping on it, at least initially. Other kind of perks that you have here are Elemental Honing in the 4th column. I don't think anyone really wants Vorpal Weapon on their weapons anymore, to be honest. It's just bait and switch is right there. I think you'd rather just keep farming for that bait and switch rule. Frenzy, of course, like I already mentioned, is pretty good. You also have Killing Wind, and then, of course, PvP Classic, Closing Time, Lone Wolf, for those who are nutty and can land those pinpoint slug headshots. But yeah, that wraps up everything. Like, this is a really great loadout selection for you guys. I mean, if you want just one of these weapons, then I feel like the kinetic slot, get Unsworn over Unloved if you can manage it. Try to get that terror roll with the detonator beam. Honestly, it is a great combination if you have it. For warlocks, for titans, and even those strand hunters that I'm seeing all around now. If you want a better light weapon, then Unworthy is a definitely good pick with that volt shot round with Firefly. And you can also just get Unvoiced if you can manage to get that Demoralize roll. I'm really looking for that kind of perk combination, Destab plus Demoralize. All in all, a great set of dungeon weapons, even though there's only just a couple. But, you know, most of these dungeons that we've been getting recently haven't been dropping with the most amount of weapons. They've just been dropping with a couple that are very centered around being the best at what they do. And these ones are no exception to that. These are all great weapons. You can pick them up from the Sundered Doctrine. Let me know how you guys' runs go. All in all these weapons are standouts in their respective fields. But yeah, I'm really hoping that I get some of these great rolls. Let me know if you guys have any of them. Let me know what rolls you guys are rocking with these weapons. If you like Sundered Doctrine, if you've gotten the exotic, do let me know what you think about it. But with all that being said and done, my name is Rum, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.